Well, good morning, and it's 5:45. Actually, it's 5:46 in Sussex, in East Sussex, and in Lewes, the county town. And I'm sitting right in the centre of the town this morning, perhaps to give you a view of the what's known affectionately as School Hill, looking up towards the downs. And as you can see, the sun is just beginning to peep over them. It's going to be another gorgeous day. And aren't we very lucky with the summer? It's a bit chilly at this hour of the morning. I should warn you, for those of you who are going out, be careful. Also be careful about the trains. They're playing hit and miss at the moment. Wednesday, it's reported by the local newspaper that there was a broken train that caused problems between here and Hastings. Yesterday there was a broken train that caused problems between here and, yes, it was Eastbourne yesterday, same line, I guess. And the day before, or today, there is another threat of a closure somewhere towards lunchtime for them to actually finish off some repairs on the line. Now, before we launch into anything serious, let me just, this is serious, I guess, but this is the War Memorial in the middle of Lewes. And a fine piece of sculpture it is. I think it's about 1920 or so that it was put up. But as you'll probably notice, the ladies' breasts are bared. And this caused great uproar at the time, with all sorts of prim and proper people saying this is just awful, and that we shouldn't have figures like this sculpted and placed in the middle of Lewes. Well, believe it or not, about a year ago, perhaps a little over a year ago, one crew team came into operation because this was put onto one of the social media, could have been Facebook, but the algorithms decided that this was obscene and then rejected it. So you make up your mind whether it's obscene or not. But in fact, it's a statue. Rather a fine statue, in my view, and it's in memory of the men who died in the Great Wall. Of course, it's been added to, so it included both wars, but that was the original 1914-1918 war, and that was when the controversy started about these ladies, and if we can, we'll go up, because this is how it ended up, with right in the middle of Lewes. And here's a memorial to both wars, 1939, 1945. And of course, lest we forget, sometimes it seems to me that we do forget. I'm always very proud that on November the 11th, or the closest Sunday to it, that I'm able to read in church the snippet from the poem, "They shall not, or they shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old." But I won't go into that on this sunny Friday morning. It's Friday, flipping Friday. Let's hope we can look back on this week and not get too excited, because it's been a week of politics. And I'm sorry to have to talk politics for so much, but on Monday we had the district council, and again, in my view, the hated system that calls for a cabinet, in other words, a small group of people virtually running the district, and the opposition, even though they outnumbered the Conservatives, fumbled the ball, and we now have a Conservative cabinet again. We had one for 4 years, and that was pretty disastrous. And let's hope that the Conservatives have learned a lesson, although one wonders if ever they do. I'm not picking on the Conservatives. I just think that politicians generally have not learned the lesson that they are supposed to represent us instead of getting involved in party politics, following diktats which are not necessarily their own, and in fact doing what's good for the party and not what's good for the electorate. I personally would like to see an end to that, and I have some people who are new to the council, some new councillors who feel the same way, and possibly there is going to be a bit of an investigation into that. But if I was the Conservatives, I would try to do my best not to fall for that, simply because they've now got the power, and whoever has the power wants to hold on to it. I'm quite sure they would have supported it if, in fact, one of the Greens, or one of the Lib Dems, or even Labour, or an independent. Now that would have been a good idea, is to make an independent the leader of the council, and it had a rainbow alliance where each party could have had one person on the cabinet, because for cabinet there could be 5. I think they're limited numbers. But did they take the initiative? No, I'm sorry, that called for imagination. And it's not ascribed to local politicians. It's something as imaginative as imagination. Right, I would like to think that it's demob time. I would like to think that we can face this long holiday weekend that's coming up and do nice things, interesting things. Let me talk. Well, I give you just. It's quite busy for coming over 6 o'clock this morning. I mean, the car's rattling by. Here we've got some of the retail shops, and that you can see in Lewes. We've still got a bit of a high street. Not as bad as some in the country, but once again, everything is just under threat. Our life is changing at a great rate of knots. Now, yesterday we all voted for, all those who wanted to. Well, I understand that an enormous number of Conservatives didn't vote because the party is in such disarray at the moment. It is anticipated that Theresa May, our Prime Minister, will step down. Gosh, yes, it is busy this morning. It's busier than usual, I think. Perhaps everybody's trying to get away for the weekend. But Mrs. May is likely to... oh, I thought he was aiming at me at the moment. For the moment, a fan. Mrs. May is expected to step down today, or at least make a statement about it. The front runner apparently is Boris, which will hearten some people because of his flamboyance and worry others because of his unpredictability. The Brexit Party in the polls, in the surveys, were way out in front. But then again, we haven't seen any results. So whether that's going to transfer to them being the major party in the European Parliament on behalf of the UK, I don't know. And how long will that last if we actually come out? I don't know. We're full of uncertainty at the moment. And one of the things that I think that is interesting is that the Brexit Party would still have 12 or 14% support if it was national politics. Labour being out in front. The Conservatives would apparently, if they had a new leader, a rebound. So we could see Boris and Orr, because he's got a few enemies himself inside the Conservative Party, and of course what will happen is there'll be a fight to the death to see who's going to become leader, and then we can expect resignations and a new cabinet, and it will go through it all again, and it's getting a bit wearisome. So it's probably about July, I think, that a new Prime Minister or a new leader of the Conservative Party would take over. We can expect some changes, I'm quite sure. One of the things that is dominating the press this morning, the news, is that a number of EU citizens who could vote here had registered but needed an extra special card, and they say they didn't get them. And there's going to be quite an investigation whether, in fact, EU citizens living here, non-Brits but EU citizens, were denied the vote. Whether, in fact, that could cancel the vote and we have to do it all over again, I have no idea. I would suspect not. But probably, knowing the penchant of Brussels for stuffing the coffers, which are always empty, they're always overspending, and they're always sacking the auditor that tells them so. You didn't have to envisage it being real problems. But undoubtedly we'll be fined, or something will happen that is not in our best interests. Locally, it's been fairly calm and fairly placid. Transport is the key thing, it's the trains. I do wonder about this train company, as if they get their schedules wrong, they've got one reason for it, and then suddenly trains start to break down. So is the maintenance schedule going by the board? And if they stop spending money in those areas, it sometimes means that they are cutting back because they're either going to sell it or be closed down or whatever. And if in fact they're not going to mend their trains, I wonder if they think that the franchise might be in peril. The only thing is, of course, is Chris Grayling, who has not exactly distinguished himself in any ministry that he's had, has said that, in his view, this is a good company and he can't understand what the fuss is about, despite the fact that Maria Caulfield has lumbered up to London with tons and tons of paper, all signed by individual citizens here, saying this is a pretty lousy service, can you do something about it? There'll be plenty of things going on locally, and I'm quite sure that we can expect to have a bit of fun around town. So I won't be back on Monday. I won't be back until Tuesday. But we are slowly getting a revamp. We keep on talking about revamps, but we're a work in progress. And we really don't know where we're going until the market, if you like, drives us. And that's what do people want. And in conversation, people come up with some very, very good ideas. We have joined something that's called Ferret. And Ferret is an investigative group of journalists. It's based in Scotland, of all places, but it actually looks right across the country and has correspondents right across the country to help us perhaps keep a perspective on what's going on. I mean, it has uncovered wrongdoing in councils in the north of England, and I suppose really that once we can analyse that, we can know what to look for here. But we do have a very, very good investigative group called Lewis Eye. I'm not so sure. They've expanded what they're doing. We all get tucked into what we've got to do is to say what's happening right now. Well, but there are plenty of people saying what's happening right now. I think that the investigative nature of Lewis Eye is a strong point, and I hope that they keep on with that rather than spread too thinly. Then that's up to them. They're a good organisation. They really know what they're doing. They're investigative journalists in the best tradition of the word, and they, along with us, and along with town and county, and along with never forget who are the foot soldiers for us, and that is Mick Symes and his lot on Lewis Eye, and the other people who organise the groups down in Seaford and New Haven, and for that matter Uckfield and Eastbourne, who alert us to what's going on so that we can take a deeper look. We haven't got huge resources. In fact, we've got no resources at all. There's one man and a dog, and it's difficult for us to see what's happening by sending out people to look. So we rely upon people who will tip us off. We rely upon getting information from organisations, but we do rely upon cooperating with the people who run the groups and with Lewis Eye. So over this weekend, we'll be looking to see how we can cooperate better, and that hopefully we shall develop over this next year to becoming a real force. And Last Monday was a good time to start because that was the first council meeting, and I think that hopefully what we can do is develop along with the council, perhaps frighten them a little if we can, into being sensible about their decisions and knowing that there is a group of journalists back again, if you like, to keep an eye on them and to keep them on the straight and narrow. Until Tuesday, look forward to seeing you. Toodle-hoot.